Mark, here are two voices, two themes that every youth minister has heard in talking to a senior pastor or a parents committee or a lay committee. Why don't we see more of our kids in the youth group? Why do we only have so many kids? Why isn't it growing? Or, it's not about the numbers. We want to see depth and transformation. We want to see quality. Don't worry about the numbers. It's the quality of transformation and discipleship that we're really key about. Where do you go between these two voices that seem to be in conflict?
Well, when we see that question, it's all about numbers, it's not about numbers, it's a pretty good sign that we're stuck. And it's a sign that we're going to stay stuck. It's just a tug of war that really doesn't get resolved. I'll speak to one side of that. Now, I think we can all agree. At one level, it's absolutely not about numbers. And it is about the work of God's Spirit and the mustard seed and the small and all of those things. Absolutely. On the other hand, I think we too quickly dismiss numbers as a tool for effective ministry. I got a couple biblical examples. One is Jesus had this group of disciples, and sometimes he didn't call them disciples. About half the time, he just called them the 12. He knew how many he had. He didn't round up to 15. It was 12. We also have this book in the Bible called Numbers. And I just have this sense of anytime we get more spiritual than Jesus, we may be too spiritual. So one of the things that happens in churches is they get in this tug of war as if no numbers really matter. And I have this story that I love to tell, a parable of something that didn't happen with my children, but sure could have. I take my kids to Disney World, and I say to them, be back at the flagpole at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock comes. I got Debbie there. I got Lee there. I got Susan there. But Adam, my oldest, who, true to his first couple letters of his name, ADD is not a stranger in his life. And Adam is not there. And I say to Susan, baby, don't you think it's time for us to go ahead and leave? It's 9 o'clock. And she would say, we can't leave. Adam's not here. And I'd say, well, sweetheart, it's 9 o'clock. We have 2 quality children. Let's just work with the ones that come. And she, of course, would say, well, don't you remember we have 3 children? And I would say, don't you know it's not about numbers? Well, she would come back by saying, well, yeah, but that 3rd one happens to be ours. And in my tradition, as in many churches, we have a sacrament around welcoming children. And it is not just a sacrament for a mom and dad, it's a sacrament for the congregation to take responsibility for the Christian nurture of this child. Essentially, the shorthand in my book is dibs on the baby. That one's ours. And because we are fearful and resistant to tending to numbers and sort of unspiritual things like databases, we end up neglecting those who are ours at times. I heard of a Ugandan pastor recently, and they had a revival of some kind in their church, and many young people came to faith. And one of the Americans there said, isn't it wonderful, all these young people coming to faith? And the Ugandan pastor, with a very heavy expression, said, yes, it is wonderful. But now we must figure out how to feed them and educate them all, and I don't know how we're going to do it. He understood what a baptismal vow meant in a way that's different from those who say, if I hadn't seen them in a year, we'll take them off the rolls. They're not ours anymore. So I'm just recommending, inviting churches into to accessing numbers, not resisting them, but being faithful shepherds, knowing that a faithful shepherd knows exactly how many sheep he or she has. And at that level, I got to believe in some ways, it is about numbers.